Tony, just reflections on Stoke, I suppose, again, a game where you could say that you didn't get the rub of the green in many ways.
Yeah, listen, again, I'm very conscious of not sitting here and moaning about referees all the time. It's, bottom line, we're in control of our own destiny regarding results, and so regardless of decisions that didn't go our way, we have to take it on the chin. We had the opportunities to score more goals than one, and we didn't. So yeah, good luck to Stoke. They're attritional, hard-working, honest team, and yet on any given day we'd expect them to go and win, and we didn't, and we have to accept it. It was as I tried to say after the game. I don't know how it came across, but it felt unusual week in the build up to it. Really, a lot of players away from training with 7 and 8 most days on the build up to the game, and then on the days where we did have most of the players back, not all of them, but most of them back, we were in the eye of a storm really, and the training pitch was. You couldn't really do anything in the sessions. The balls were blowing everywhere. It was a gale and battering down with rain and really heavy force winds. So it felt a difficult week for us. But that's it. It also sounds like an excuse when I listen to myself talking. It's not meant to be. It's the reality, really. It's the reality, because I think we're a really good team. I do think when you've had 7 or 8 away, under different instruction of how to play, what their jobs are, and then they have to come back and get straight back into where they need to be on the pitch when we're playing our game. It's very difficult to knit it all back together, and so I don't apportion any blame on anybody why we were under par. I just think it's a fact. After the international break, trying to get them up to speed very quickly again was probably more difficult than normal. That said, now we've had a day or so training, even though a few of them haven't put their boots on since that game. We hope that we can impose ourselves on this game like we tried to do on most, and yet we are playing against a team of won 11 out of 12 and we've got a lot of really good players who played in the Premier League a long time, so it'll be a good test for us to see where we are.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it there. It almost is starting to feel like Leicester are a Premier League team, just not playing in the Premier League this season.
Well, actually, I don't look at the data or the stats of how many appearances they've got from Premier League in the Premier League. I'm not sure how many Premier League appearances they've got in their team. But yeah, when I watch them, they are obviously very well coached. I think you have to give the coach a lot of credit for the way he's managed to create the team. They play very much. Listen, they say that when I watch them, they play very much like we play. How they build from a 4 to a 3, and how they have 5 across your back line, and they're a well-coached football team. He's obviously spent some time with Manchester City and with Pep, and that's very obvious from watching his team play. How they play very positional football, and yeah, they're dangerous. With good players playing positional football is a very difficult combination to deal with.
Obviously, it's a quick turnaround. You're used to them, but you get down back from suspension. But you did mention that there might be a couple of knocks as well from the weekend.
Yeah, I think there's 3 or 4 players didn't train today. Obviously, didn't train yesterday. Tight calves, sore hamstrings, dead legs. Let's wait and see. Bottom line, if they've got a chance to play, normally if you don't train the day before a game, you're not playing really. We need to prepare the team, and yet hopefully I'm not sitting at some desk at Leicester telling you how difficult the preparation was after the game, after the defeat. Hopefully that we've found a way to find a performance full of energy and quality and an attacking mentality that allows us to have won a game. But it's obviously a difficult task against a team that 12 have tried this year and only 1 have done it.
But you actually said when you were speaking to Nick there, it's one to be relished, isn't it? Not daunted by it. And you did last season many times actually go into games where people might think, well, maybe Sunderland are underdogs here, and actually really perform very well.
Yeah, I think we've got the structure and the ability to do that. I think we have to play well. We have to be brave. We have to we have to believe in the talent we've got on the pitch, and I do think we have some very talented individuals, and we have to get the ball to them and let them do what they do, really. And I think, you know, when I look at Leicester, they're very similar. They've got some devastating individuals who can damage your team really badly. We have to be mindful of them, and we have to try and play our game, and so we have to have a percentage of the ball that puts them on the back foot and makes them run back to their own goal, and have a defensive structure rather than them just continually wave after wave. And some of the games I've watched them play, that's what they do. It's wave after wave of attacks, and eventually they break you down. But and a lot of that, as I say, is the structure. Is credit to the coach who's brought a certain amount of structure from Manchester City. I think the way they fill the spaces on the pitch, and yeah, we're looking forward to the challenge. As I've tried to say, it's a bit stuck between two, because there's a lot of players who are not done the training, and yet we're quite excited about going there. Some of the lads have never been to their stadium, and my most recent visits there, you know, the pitch is immaculate, the dressing rooms are amazing, the tunnel area is done out fantastically well. You know, it feels like a Premier League environment, to be honest, at Leicester these days, and we should look forward to it and try and get the smell of what it's like to play at the top end, and that's what I hope the players produce.
Good for me.
Cheers.
Just on team newsy type stuff, apologies if you were asked this before the weekend, but where are we at with Adji and Dennis? Where are they at in terms of...
Dennis is kicking off in 15 minutes out there.
Right.
Adji's still 2 or 3 weeks away, I think.
Obviously at the weekend, you know, you've explained your decision in terms of the 3 forward lads who were on the bench, coming late back, etc. But is it fair to say that, and I definitely take the point that they've come in, they're inexperienced, they've come from abroad, etc. But you could probably kind of do with one of them almost putting their hand up and making themselves undroppable, couldn't you? Because, you know, where are we now? We're nearly into November, so we're 3 months into the season, you know what I mean? Yeah,
that's undoubtedly. And I think the reality is that they've all got different issues in my mind. They've all still a bit away from sticking. I know Mason's been the one that we've gone to because he's athletic and runs and can close down. I think he's still a boy who has to learn about double movements in the box to find space and clever runs to get him behind. I think he's learning that. I think he's trying to take it on board. He looks you right in the eye, and we show him a lot of video stuff back of maybe this was the run. You can't just make one run. The defender sees it and clears it. You've got to dive in there. You've got to check off the back. The ball has to beat him, and you have to score. It's Hamir is different. I think Hamir, we've talked a lot about Hamir, the physical aspect of the game. We won't. So I think modern day football is about out without the ball and how you press or how you sit behind the ball. I think Sunderland need, because of the support base, because of who we are, we need to play on the front foot, and we need to get our fans wrapped up in the game, and we need to be aggressive. At this moment, Amir needs to keep developing his aerobic capacity to be able to help our team. And Rusin is a young boy. Is he 24, 25? He's come from the Ukraine. He's still in my mind a little bit in the headlights. He still doesn't know where he is almost. He's finding it difficult, and yet you can see he's got talent. He's sharp. He's clever with the ball. At some stage, I'll just throw him in. But ideally, you don't want to just throw him in. You want him to learn how we play, what we do. Does he understand what I'm telling him? You know, it's a difficult scenario. So there's the 3 lads. They're all slightly different, and I don't think it's a case if they'd been away and we'd had Roberts and Pritchard all week, and we could try and work with the team that looked like half a team that was going to be. It made sense to me, rather than them come back on Friday, stick them on the pitch for half an hour, say this is what your job is, let's get on with it. I didn't think it was the right thing to do, and we'd done so well last year playing without strikers, and so there was no issue to me to do it. And particularly against a team like Stoke that we were going to hopefully give problems with the ball to, I think it didn't quite pan out. We know that they are number one for pressing in the league at home. It was a difficult day. We didn't get the fluency really, and yet we still had 17 efforts at their goal with 6 or 7 on target or whatever it was. We didn't score.
Is it a bit of a frustration? And I know this is almost a stupid question because it doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do about it anyway. But is it a frustration that they're going away a lot when actually, for the good of their career, if they'd been here working with you for 2 weeks last week, surely that would have been better for their longer term development than what they were doing.
Yeah, but you haven't got a choice with national federations. You can't say, we're going to keep him because we think he's better. It's going to be better for his development. They want them to play, even though they didn't necessarily play.
Yeah, well, that's the other frustration, isn't it, for you?
No. But you ask a footballer, he wants to go away when his country calls. It's really difficult to say to some young guy, you stay here and do loads of extra training. Is it frustrating? Yes. But I never want to deny a player getting a cap or going and get called up for his country. It's very difficult, and we just have to accept it. What I do know is, after 46 games, I know we're a good team. We're going to win lots of games. We're going to be fine. We're going to go up and we're going to come down, and then after Christmas and we get into the real belly of February, March, April, I believe that the team, the structure of the team is going to be good, and we're going to win games, and we're going to score goals, and we're going to excite the supporters, and we're going to be there or thereabouts. Listen, there's some really strong teams that are still to get their feet, I think, this year as well. But and we talked about that before the start of the season. But I do believe in this group of players that if we can keep the majority of them fit, we'll be really competitive in the league, and not to worry about losing a game or two somewhere down the line, because we will win 3, 4, 5 games on the bounce, as we've already done this year. If we lose 2 or 3 on the bounce, we're not Leicester City in my mind. We don't buy players for 12 million quid. We have a different set of factors. We're just trying to play exciting, brave football for our fans, but winning football, of course. But we're trying to develop young players, and we will win enough games to have a good season again, I'm pretty sure.
And just the last one, kind of more broader one on Leicester. I mean, there's obviously been discussions, hasn't there, between the Premier League and the Football League about the whole issue of funding and parachute payments in particular. Should they stay, should they not stay? The groundswell seems to be that they are going to stay. I mean, where do you feel on that? Because it feels a little bit like they're not really doing what they're meant to do in terms of helping teams be competitive when they go up, but they're also, pretty disruptive in terms of the Championship. The disparity of the budgets is massive all of a sudden, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, again, you're asking me questions where you're going to make me sound like a moaning sod. Everything Mowbray all he ever does is moan about stuff. It's out of my hands, parachute payments. Let the people who were cleverer than me, who got A levels and went to uni, to sort all that out for me. I was a lad who left school at 16 and went to become a footballer, and I've been in it ever since. And I love football. I want the game to thrive and to flourish. I think the fact that you can come out of League One, look at Ipswich Town and us, come out of League One, you can flourish in this league if you've got a good team, I was going to say a good coach there. Ipswich got a good coach, yeah. But my point being, the money is, of course, it's really difficult when you've got players like I've just said of Leicester. We aren't buying 12-10 million pound footballers, but we can develop our own. We can sign them cheap and polish them up and make them exciting, but it has to be a bit of a journey sometimes. And almost, I'm not saying you have to forget about the top 2, because Ipswich aren't forgetting about the top 2 at the moment on their run. Whether they can sustain it, whether they've got the depth of squad, we have to wait and see, of course. But because I'm pretty sure, Leeds and Southampton are already back. You think back a couple of months, Southampton couldn't win a game, and now they're winning football matches, and because the quality of their players was always going to come to fruition. Middlesbrough, another example of that, the team that have had some transition, but again, a good coach, finding a way to win football matches. I'm sure the West Broms, the Norwiches, the Watfords will all find their feet, and it's going to be a tough competition. But I think, again, as I say, I think we've got a really good team that's over 40 odd games will be really competitive, and hopefully we can find a way to be in the mix with that lot.
Good stuff. Thanks, Tony.